If you're tired of the standard business and marketing fundamentals, frameworks, and funnels, you need a little mischief. Get ready to turn up the volume on the CEO Mischief Maker podcast, where you access conversations with seasoned business owners who have smashed through mindset barriers, innovated the standard boring business and marketing playbooks, and executed future-paced strategies with bleeding-edge tools and tactics to micro-fail their way into massive success and growth. We are Mindset Impact Strategic Catalysts helping innovative entrepreneurs focus. We are CEO Mischief Makers. Ready to make a little mischief? Hello there. Welcome to an incredible conversation, the culmination of the last two conversations with my guest, Michael Sheridan. I really, I don't know what it is, but I'm feeling very contemplative, very open to the possibility of what comes next. And what comes next with you, Michael, is everything we've talked about the last two episodes. How can we bring this really to fruition for people? Where we've talked about the mindset shifts, we've talked about really the innovation of your life. Really, if you haven't listened to the last conversation, that's really what we were talking about, innovating your life. To now talking about some strategies that we can use to really start unpacking and picking things out that we can actually use to do that innovation. So start me off with strategy. How can I take a look at what's happening, whether it's my specific dreams or specific situations that happen in my life, and start to formulate a process for myself?
Okay, well, I can tell you how I do it. And dreams are a language. They're your first language. A lot of people say, why don't I dream in English or whatever my first language is? And they don't realize, hang on, you didn't speak that language when you were in the womb. You didn't speak it for the first year of your life. Maybe you had a couple of words by the end of that year, and you weren't able to hold a conversation in it until you're at least 3 or 4. It's not your first language, but all that time, even while in the womb, we dream. Dreams are the language of our soul. They are the first language, and you have to learn their language. It's not going to switch around and work in your language for you. But the fundamental process that I use is I look at a person's dream, and through understanding that language, I find the key symbol in a dream. There's always one key symbol. It might be 2. And that's the king. And that symbol tells me what the dream is about, what the subject matter is. And then all the other symbols in the dream pay homage to the king. It's like the king decides what we're talking about. And then everything else has to talk about that. And so you can get incredibly nuanced detail about an area of somebody's life from one dream. I mean, incredibly nuanced. And that big symbol is usually the location. So you would look at a location and say, okay, I'm in an office. Well, what's an office for? It's a place of work. It's where I work. So maybe the dream is about your work environment. And you look for what's different in the dream, not what's normal. And the rest of the dream, there's going to be a comment on things about your career, maybe, or things about your mindset, because office work is usually mind work. And so offices and dreams are typically going to be about state of mind and things like that. If we take an easy one, or a different one, I suppose, the beach is the approach to the sea, and the sea in dreams, like life came from, physical life came from the oceans, but really physical life came from the spirit world. So the ocean or bodies of water in dreams are a very good symbol for the spirit world. And so the beach being the approach to the sea is about your spiritual approach. So a dream that has that location tells us it's about your spiritual approach. If in that dream, you have an orca whale on the beach, then the dream says that you're a channel, and you need to include channeling in your spiritual approach. And you're like, how do you make that connection? Well, a whale or a dolphin is a mammal just like us, an air-breathing mammal that lives in the water. And so it's about your ability to go into the spirit world, because it's all symbolic about what does the water represent, to go there, and we can get messages and come back. But if the orca in that same scene is eating people on the beach, for instance, killing people, and there's all sorts of fear, then the dream says that you have fears around your channeling gift. You need to overcome those fears. And now the dream will also say where these fears come from. For a lot of us, it's persecution for using these gifts. And it may be persecution in a former life or whatever. Whether you believe in that or not, it doesn't matter. You can still look at the dreams and make everything all about this lifetime and your parents in this lifetime or some other major events in this lifetime. You don't have to go into other areas, but if you are open to that, your dreams do go there. But so we'll see from a dream what your gifts are, what you're meant to do, and what you need to overcome. And so then we can address, okay, where do you get the fear from? Most of the time, you're not going to know. But your dreams are going to show it. But that's the process of looking at a dream and seeing what is it about. But if we then see, okay, my fears come from issues around mom or they come from issues around dad, well, then I'm going to encourage you to do a therapy. And I don't really care what therapy you do. Obviously, this therapy is I bring people through myself, but there are so many good therapies out there. And when you start working on yourself, working on the particular issues that your dreams say you need to work on, and again, they're very precise, you will see your dreams change. They take a dark turn because they then start showing what it is you need to face. And it's always something unpleasant. It's going to be a representation of the trauma. And after a while of that, you might find yourself in conflict or fear, like there's a gang that somebody's going to beat me up. But at some point in the sequence, when you're going through a therapy, you will have a dream where you're like, wait a second, I went to school with the guy who's the leader of that gang, and the threat is suddenly gone. And it's always going to happen, not particularly that way, but that sequence will happen in a dream. Or you might have bloodied and battled scenes, people were losing arms and so on. But then it'll switch to dreams where people are in bandages, and they may be bloodied bandages, but they're in bandages, which means they've already been to a place of healing and now they're just in a recuperation state. And this is all about you. There are 4 rules of dream interpretation. And the first is that everything is you. So anything that you're witnessing in a dream, somebody who's in a bandaged state, they represent an aspect of you, but this aspect of you is now healing. It's been treated and now healing. And then it just gets better and better from there. So you start off, say, at a baseline of like, here's how I feel, my ability to express myself, or the fact that I keep pushing people away. I start off here, but by the end of a therapy, you're going to be here in terms of you don't push people away, you're able to express yourself, you feel good about, like, my opinion is one that deserves to be shared, and so on and so on and so on, or whatever happens to be. It's different for everybody, whatever the issues and what you need to do about it. But once you do the therapy, then the world changes around you. And it's not so much that the world changes, it's that your paradigm view changes. So I said earlier, you can't create or attract into your life something that is above what you believe is possible. But after a therapy, you've moved the bar up. And so now you can be in the same situation and say you have difficulty finding a man who's faithful, or just finding a partner who has the traits that you like. Now you can find that person. It's not that they didn't exist before, but you just couldn't see them. There is no way you could see them because you didn't believe in that world, and your thoughts completely create your reality. And we can have different people in the same room, seeing different people, seeing the world from a different perspective because of their paradigm views. And so your dreams show you what the block is, what you need to heal. And once you heal it, then you are living a completely different life, and you don't even have to change the city you're living in.
Yes. Oh my goodness. So well, first off, let me go a little bit deeper into how you do this. So a lot of these dreams, obviously they're personal. They're, some people may have very, very specific personal situations in their dreams, and, they go to you. Do you do this in a group setting? Do you do this one-on-one? Do you do this
a mix. It's a mix. I do a series of group settings and a series of one-to-ones, and they go in parallel. And I've just learned over the years that this is the best combination that works. And so in either setting, I'm looking at the dreams. But in the personal sessions, we start the therapy. I give people a recording that they listen to based on what I've seen in their dreams. And so twice a day, they're going to listen to it. It's only 10 minutes long. And that's going to change their dreams. It's going to make the dreams focus on the issues that we want to fix. And I meet them every week, then look at their dreams, make sure it's working, and I refine what they need to add. I give them a process. They're going to do something while they listen to that recording. And so each week I will be saying, add this to your list, include this, what's in what's going on in your list. And we just do that week after week after week. It typically takes about 8 weeks or 9 weeks to get from the start of a very major issue to the end. Sometimes it can take 16 weeks. We don't know how long it's going to take, but typically it's just 9. And we stick with you until you get to the end of that, or I stick with you till you get to the end of that. It's a results-oriented thing, and we never know how long it's going to take. It's taken some people considerably longer, but they're totally outliers. And there's certain things I've learned over the years that you can't do. You can't do 2 therapies at the same time. So if you're working with me, you can't go see a healer. You can't get acupuncture done. There's various things you can't do because it's just going to upset the process. So we want to see these subtle things bubble up to the surface for you so that we can heal them. And then once we heal them, it's like a totally different world, like a cloud's lifted from your eyes. And it's so transformative. And you never go backwards. It's so transformative. I call it, I say to people, it's a transformative. I really should say to people, I hold your hand all the way through the process from start to finish, but I don't. I jokingly say I grab you by the ear and I pull you through what your dreams are telling you to do for 10 weeks. And the change in the person, though, afterwards is just astounding, absolutely astounding. And they can't believe it themselves. It's like you've crossed the Grand Canyon and you wonder, how did I do that? Or how was I ever on the other side of that? But what's really good about dreams is they don't just show you your issue. They show you how it was an important catalyst for your growth. And so you don't look at these things and hold resentment for them. It's not that you condone it, but you realize that it was a step on your journey and a necessary step on your journey. And you wouldn't be the person you are today after the healing if you hadn't endured what you endured. But it is interesting still, though, that it all ultimately comes back to what is the balance of masculine or feminine energy within you. Yeah. And that those imbalances are what create the difficulties in your life. It's kind of funny.
Yeah, I agree. I have more and more uncovering that fact for myself. But so let's just take myself and my husband as an example. My husband dreams almost every night, and he if it's a nightmare, he wakes up and it's a nightmare, or he's had waking, or sleepwalking when he was a child and things like that. So he's very, very solid in the fact that he dreams.
Right.
Most of the time, I don't remember. If I dreamed, I have no clue. Unless and I have very strange dreams where I'm actually watching a movie and it's actually a whole story, and I'll write it down. I've actually published a few, right? Where it's an actual movie happening, and I'm just an observer of the movie. I'm not in it. There's, it's a story that I have no clue where it came from or where it's going. So, but most of the time, I don't even remember my dreams. So we're completely opposite in those perspectives. What about someone who doesn't really remember their dreams, or maybe they might remember a dream once a quarter,
Yeah. So I've done my process with people who have only had 2 dreams throughout the whole series. If you have enough from a dream to be able to tell what the issue is and what you need to work on and why, then you can use the process. It's great if you have lots of dreams, but it's like any healing journey. You don't necessarily need to understand all the details in order to get the benefit of the healing journey. Just like, to start. You don't need to understand how a doctor knows what to do to heal your leg. It's like that with any good therapy. You can still go through the therapy as long as you know, the anxiety that I have is connected to Dad around this age. And the dreams that you will remember will show whatever your issue is. And then you work on that particular issue. And everything else is not as important. So it's only important to work on the stuff that your dreams show. Like, your dreams will also show if you're going in the wrong path. They will also tell you if you need to leave your partner. There's monogamy and marriage is a human thing. Everything is ultimately about your spiritual growth. And the spirit world is fully endorsing of anything that allows you to grow spiritually. And most relationships will allow us. even if it's a relationship that we do not enjoy, a relationship that shows you what triggers you is also of spiritual benefit. And so it's only at a certain point that your dreams and your the spirit world will say you need to move out of this, but they will tell you need to move out of it, because it's all about the growth. And in fact, one of the people I worked with, you said to share a story. Her dreams were saying you need to leave your partner, and she was like, "No, we're really good. We've been together for ages." But it was kind of like a non-committed relationship. They were never going to live together. They were never going to get married. They didn't have sex, and that suited both of them. And so the idea of leaving that relationship and then finding another relationship is like she was happy with the corner she'd parked herself into. Yeah. But her dreams showed where the issue came from, who she needed to work on. So we did all that work. She left her partner, and within about 5 months, she met somebody else. And her world completely changed, so much so that she insisted I be the official at her wedding. I did not want to do that, but so that happened in one case. In another case, somebody was just doing my course. Normally, like a lot of people will just do, they don't know what they need to work on, but they just know there's something. And for her, I saw health issues. Her name's Jasmine. She does my testimonial, so I can give her name away. And I saw cancer symbols in her dream, and I told her, look, you need to go to the doctor. I told her where they were, what part of her body, what to get checked. And she went believing there's nothing here. There's nothing's going to be found. And of course it was found, and it really shocked her. And she had the treatment, and then the symbols all disappeared. And I showed her how to look for those symbols in her dreams, like all the different symbols around the issue that she had. Because we don't just get cancer, we don't get any illness for no reason. There's always a reason, and the reason is always connected to the trauma that we experienced. And so my skill is spotting those things. And so I told her how to spot it again. And 11 years later, the symbols started showing up again. And she went back to the doctor way before any symptoms. And sure enough, it had come back. And she got it treated. And she's been fine since. And it's been about 15 years now. But this is something you will always see with things like that. People are good for about 10 years, and then it comes back. And by the time they catch it, it's too late. Your dreams will warn you about things years in advance. Years and years in advance. Like one of the biggest things that dreams talk about is heart-related issues. And it's one of the issues that most people don't care about. But statistically, 51% of us die of heart-related illness. And yet people are worried about cancer or MS or some other illness that scares them, when there's a good chance that heart-related illness is the one that's going to take you off the planet. But your dreams will tell you for years, for 20 years or more, this is what you're doing to yourself. This is the likely outcome of what you're doing. You need to heal this issue heal this trauma, because here's where it's causing you to go. And when you work on the trauma, you will see all those symbols, all those negative symbols about your future. They just drop away. You don't have them again. And that's really the best thing about dreams, is they help you stay on the path of what it is you're meant to be doing. But they don't hold any punches. If you want to be a healer, for instance, and that's not part of your path, your dreams are going to show you that you're not a healer, and they will show you what you're meant to be doing. Like I had one friend who had a dream. She went into a jeweler's and she wanted to buy a gold chain, and the jeweler who owned the store wouldn't sell her a gold chain. Anybody in a dream with a title is a guide, and guides are infallible. If you can identify a guide in your dream, whatever they tell you is factual. Everybody else you can't say that. It could be complete rubbish, but a guide will always be honest and true. And so the guide wouldn't give her the gold chain. The gold chain is symbolic of healing. So he's saying you don't have the healing ability. But he said to her, I'll give you this silver chain. And in fact, it's already yours. So he wasn't even going to charge her for it. And silver in his dream is about intuition. They both come from the sun and the moon, the meaning in dreams. But anyway, he was saying that this is your chain. And so she left the store. She wouldn't take the silver chain. But the chain part says, look, this is your obligation. You're obliged. You are chained to use this gift. You're meant to be helping other people. Like I said earlier, we all have at least one gift. Her gift was intuition, and she's meant to be helping people through using her intuition, but she's refusing to do it. And she had spent a lot of money in learning how to do healing. She learned how to do bioenergy healing in particular. And every time she worked on people, she would get sick. but she had spent so many $1,000, she didn't want to give it up. And the dream was saying, you went the wrong way. You shouldn't even be doing it. And a lot of us do that. A lot of us make innocent mistakes, I'll say. But, we see something, we go, this is a great way of helping people. But if it's not the way you're meant to help people, the people you are here to help are not going to be people who need healing. In her case, they're going to need intuition. They're going to need her strong intuition to guide them in whatever it is. So it's a complete mismatch. And so I love that part of dreams. My favorite aspect, in fact, is all the spiritual dimension and what our purpose is and what our gifts are and how we're meant to work with other people and how we're meant to help ourselves. But it's not always like people are like, well, I want to find out, my mission is to be like King Arthur or something like that. And it isn't always true. It could be something simple like your purpose this time around is to learn how to integrate more joy into your life, or learn how to love yourself. And that is a spiritual goal. And it may take you a life to learn how to do it, but that's what it's about. It's not about the other things.
Okay, hold on. If your mindset was shifted, you were inspired to innovate, and you were spurred into action, don't just move on with your day. Focus, my friend, and take a few minutes to visit CEOmischiefmaker.com to learn more about the value that was shared with you today. Please act now and create some CEO mischief of your own.